June 1944, the Atlantic Ocean. Beneath 300 feet of crushing black water, the U-505 is a steel tomb breathing. Inside, the air is thick with the smell of diesel, sweat, and a growing sense of mechanical decay. The crew is a collection of ghosts. 50 men trapped in a pressurized metal cylinder, waiting for the sky to fall. Suddenly, the silence is shattered. A massive shockwave ripples through the hull. The hunters have become the prey. Depth charges explode like thunderclaps. The U-505 tilts violently, her internal system screaming in a high-pitched mechanical wail. And then, the ultimate technical failure. The rudder jams. The U-505 enters the dreaded death spiral, turning in endless circles. She cannot dive. She cannot flee. She is a wounded predator, spinning toward her own grave. The captain looks at his men. He sees the collapse before it happens. The pressure outside is nothing compared to the pressure within. As the water begins to leak through the rivets, the sound of the ocean becomes a rhythmic, terrifying heartbeat. This is the start of the psychological fracture, the moment where the machine and the mind break together. The air becomes a poison. Carbon dioxide rises, turning every breath into a struggle against a leaden chest. The U-505 isn't just a ship anymore. It's a biological trap, a steel lung that is slowly collapsing. In the engine room, the heat reaches 120 degrees. The roar of the diesel is a scream. Men stop speaking. The only sound is the ping of the enemy sonar, a rhythmic reminder of their inevitable end. The engineering is beautiful and horrific. 1,000 miles of wire, all designed to keep them in this tomb. The walls close in. The loop continues. The rudder is locked, steering the U-505 into a circle of madness. One man breaks. He begins to claw at the steel, trying to peel back the layers of a 1,000-ton cage. He isn't alone. Panic is a virus, and in a space this small, there is no place to hide. The machinery begins to fail in sympathy. The lights dim. The heartbeat of the U-boat slows down. This is the glitch in the system. When a machine built for war becomes a machine built for suicide. The walls are no longer steel. They are a crushing weight, pushing against the skull of every man on board. Time loses meaning. In the dark, a second feels like an hour, and a minute feels like an eternity. The death spiral continues. The U-505 turns and turns, a blind animal trapped in its own momentum. Every ping of the sonar is a needle to the brain. They are being watched by an enemy they cannot see. Fear turns into madness. The hierarchy of the Kriegsmarine dissolves into a primal fight for breath. The engineering is failing. The sub groans under the external pressure, the rivets screaming like dying birds. One man stares at the depth gauge. It has stopped working. They are falling into the unknown. The smell of chlorine gas from the leaking batteries begins to burn their lungs. The end is no longer a theory. Desperation leads to the unthinkable. The captain prepares the scuttling charges. This tomb will be theirs forever. But the ocean has other plans. The glitch in the system is about to be interrupted by the world above. The U-505 breaks the surface like a dying whale. The blinding sun is a shock to eyes used to the dark. Above them, the American Navy is waiting. Gunfire tears through the conning tower, shredding the iron skin. The order to abandon ship is given. Panic. The crew jumps into the churning, oil-slicked Atlantic waters. But the scuttling fails. The sea enters, but the U-505 refuses to sink. She remains a floating ghost. American sailors board the vessel. They step into a world of stinking diesel, darkness, and Nazi secrets. They find the Enigma machine. The code that could win the war is hidden inside this steel labyrinth. The U-505 is towed across the ocean, a captured predator stripped of its teeth but keeping its shadows. Decades pass. The metal cools. The screams of the crew are replaced by the silence of a museum. Now, she sits in Chicago, a massive hollow shell of the terror that once prowled the deep. Our visitors walk through the hatches where men once lost their minds. The air is still, but the walls remember. The U-505 was towed for weeks. In the dead of night, American guards heard footsteps in the empty corridors. They found personal items left behind, half-written letters, family photos, and a clock that ticked without a spring. The machinery seemed to move on its own. Valves turned. The boat wanted to return to the bottom. Engineers discovered hidden compartments, small spaces where the darkness felt thicker, heavier, and colder than the ocean. Every rust stain on the floor told a story of a man who broke under the psychological pressure. The death spiral hadn't ended. Even in tow, the U-505 pulled against her chains, fighting her captors. They say the smell of diesel never leaves the iron. It's the scent of 50 men's collective terror. In the museum, security cameras sometimes glitch when passing the U-505's hull at 3 in the morning. Shadows move inside the periscope. A silent crew still standing at their stations in a dead machine. It is no longer a weapon of war. It is a biological archive of fear, preserved in a steel shell. The U-505 is a glitch in the timeline, a vessel that was supposed to vanish, but chose to stay. Every hatch you pass is a portal to 1944. The metal still carries the vibration of a panicked heart. We look at the machines of war and see engineering, but inside we find the ghosts of our own shadows. The death spiral of the mind is the true mystery. How long can a human soul survive in a cage? Science explained the rudder failure, but it cannot explain the cold silence that greets every visitor today. The U-505 stands as a monument to the moment the system broke, a mechanical witness to a secret war. As the museum lights fade at night, the steel begins to breathe again. A low, rhythmic mechanical hum. History is not a straight line. It is a series of anomalies, and this iron tomb is the greatest of them. Next time you stand before a relic of the past, listen closely. The walls are still screaming. U-505, the metal coffin that refused to sink, a ghost in the machine of history, forever trapped, forever here,